Oh my God! All right.
But so one question that I have for you both, before you guys do leave, is on the subject of companies that take chances with their games and their game development. If you had to say one company that takes chances more than any other one, who would you say that is?
Konami.
What? By not making any?
No, I mean it. Look at it. They've made bad decisions, and that's why they don't make them anymore.
Oh, is that the chance they did?
They took Silent Hill Downpour. Terrible game.
Terrible.
Literally, most of their Silent Hill games have been bad ever since the Silent Hill original people left because they did nothing but chances.
But you would say that
Castlevania teams.
But you would say that
chances.
they take more chances than any other company, though.
At this current point in time, at this current point in time, they don't take any chances.
Okay.
Because they're bad and they're like,
I would say
the next
no.
thing is going to be a stinker. I mean, the last thing they put out was that Contra game, and it was a stinker.
It was terrible.
So,
so you guys are 0-1.
Part of me's like EA, but I don't like to think that because EA is just like, we just pick and choose what we think is going to make money, and the moment they stop, we cancel it.
They're the antithesis of taking chances. Anything that wasn't remotely a chance, they canceled before they even had a chance to breathe.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, geez.
That's what happened with all the Star Wars games.
So that's like playing it safe to the maximum then.
Yes, well, if it's not Madden or microtransactions, they don't want it.
Wow.
Which they're trying. Their biggest feature they're touting for games now is there's no microtransactions. That's really sad. If that's the thing you have to advertise, is that you're not billing people
There's
per
no
feature.
season pass. It's like,
I would say.
But I hope that's a trend that continues, though.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it like this: games can have season passes. You just have to deliver on the content.
Right.
Like I hate to say it, like Mortal Kombat 11 is a good game, right? And it has the combat pass, and it came with the extra story, which was pretty good. But I'm happy that I got it all at a discount price because the base game I was just like, Luckily the PC version just runs better, so I'm like, okay, I like it. But Mortal Kombat 11 is a very ho-hum NetherRealm game.
But so let's say one company like of all time, not just currently. Which company do you think is like the most, take a chance or playing it risky? Who would you say that is?
Nintendo.
Capcom.
Wow. Interesting.
Capcom's probably me. I would say Nintendo, but Nintendo's games. Maybe Nintendo.
They made a game. They made a game franchise based on Miyamoto liking to garden. Pikmin.
Right.
Yeah,
this is true.
Entire franchise based off of that.
And they made the Virtual Boy. I get that, but that's a big company. But at the same time, if you look at like their recent stuff, they're like, yeah, we got this Mario Tennis franchise, and what do we do to make it unique? Let's get rid of all the crazy stuff that was fun.
I can't believe you actually blacked that.
James in the
You better
chat.
start believing in ghost stories because you're in one.
Heavy JT3 in the chat says Nintendo or Sega. It's a toss-up.
Sega took some. There's a difference between a chance and a poor business decision, and that's what Sega did a lot. That's
what is happening? I've never seen that happen.
It ricocheted off the thing.
That's why we don't get. That's why we don't have like a Dreamcast 2 because of poor business decisions. Sega now, I think, is in a better position to take chances because they don't have so much to lose as far as an entire console. But you want to know who I think is taking the biggest chance right now?
Who?
Microsoft. Their entire strategy for next gen is a huge chance. It's a huge gamble because they're not gambling on people buying systems like a normal publisher would, buying systems and having games to support it. They're betting on their software and wherever you play it at, you play it at. And giving all their games away on Game Pass. It's a huge risk.
Interesting.
That's a risk as a company.
It's a huge risk as a company.
But see, I'm thinking of game
chance.
development, and I guess Nintendo would be one of those people.
Game develop. I'm sorry. So you could say that the company both develops games and develops hardware and develops
services,
method of delivery and everything. Yeah. So I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
I don't know who I would say. I part of me wants to say that from a purely software perspective, like game development, I think Sega takes huge chances, and they have historically taken a lot of chances on things.
Not recently.
But not recently so
That's
much.
the worst part. Recently, they haven't done anything.
Because, historically, when you look at, Sega's offerings, you were saying much earlier, when you look at the arcade scene, man, Sega did the craziest stuff, But lately, they've been kind of sort of playing it safe. Which just makes sense, you know.
Yakuza.
After you lose a whole hardware business, I'm assuming that's
you
what
get a
you're
little
gonna do.
gun shy, especially if they're making
Right.
terrible Sonic games time after time.
Well, that's the thing, though. They literally made Sonic Mania. I don't know what just happened there.
Sonic Mania was sort of handed to an indie developer.
Yeah,
though.
Christian Whitehead.
Yeah, and that game
That's
was
not even an indie
amazing.
developer. That dude is just a fan who made a mod.
Right.
And it was like, you know what, this works.
But isn't
And
it
then-
but
isn't
then
that
say-
indie
but then-
development though?
Yeah, true.
I guess
That kind of is.
He's a
like,
developer who's independent.
but then when you look at it from a hardware perspective,
Oh, sorry, Tristan. Go ahead.
no, that's okay. I'm just thinking.
Chris a fool.
I'm just thinking from a hardware perspective. I think I got to give
hate
it
this
to
net.
Nintendo because Nintendo just did some really
Yes,
wacky stuff.
Nintendo.
Man.
they made the Virtual Boy.
I mean,
making the
not-
Wii was a crazy.
Yeah,
chance.
that was a risk. Yeah.
They put money in the Philips CDI.
Making the NES after the game crash was a chance.
Well, I would.
They made the SNES
I mean-
Super Scope
I mean,
with no games.
The fact that Nintendo made a printer for the Game Boy,
Oh, yeah, the
They do
Game Boy
s-
camera.
Nintendo does constantly wacky things.
they really do. I
Like, they
mean,
really
like
do.
one of the things that I have here next to me.
The GameCube. Oh,
I
the
have GameCube, right? But I have the Game Boy player here, and it's like the things you can do with this Game Boy player is absolutely bonkers, man. Like you can do a lot of really crazy things with that
I'm getting
console.
wrecked.
So
Broke
it's
my
just,
ribs.
but then when you think about like a method of delivery and services, like you just said with Microsoft, so I guess it really depends on how you look at it.
Yeah, I mean, because truthfully, there's so many like avenues that you look at where it's like, how does a company business wise do so well or do so poorly? Like I think I was watching like a YouTube series talking about how companies rise and then fall. And it's not just like video game companies that do this. Like I think I watched it and it was about like Little Caesars. And it was how Little Caesars was like this small chain that kind of grew up and they had all these hardships at some point and then they turned everything around and now the company is like turning a big profit. And then they took a look at like Sbarro Pizza because I was like, why am I looking at Sbarro Pizza information? And it was like, oh yeah, because it's interesting to look at how a business works. And then they talked to like video game companies as well. And it's like, these people are doing insane things and it's a multi-million-dollar industry and so much goes into it that you have to look at like what chance can you take nowadays that's going to lucratively pay off.
Yeah, what's a calculated risk? Because art is art, but people still got to make money.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you just mentioned that art because that's another point that I think we need to talk more about.